Life doesn't make mistakes. We worry so much about all these different things. And what if we just completely surrendered to that outcome happening? It peels away all the intensity of the human experience. It's a feeling of like really just being me. When you pass and you move back out of the physical form, you're going to be real pissed off if you don't do it. Like, it got me. The damn game got me. Don't let the game get you. The game is the mind.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Enheartened. I am with Lorie Ladd, and I've looked for many ways to introduce Lorie, and I think if you've been listening to this podcast, you've probably heard of Lorie before. I consider her to be a master teacher in her own right, and she is the author of, I think it's really pretty much of it's a big word, but I'm going to say it anyway. A little bit of a prophetic book, The Divine Design. And my invitation is to lean in there in the best of your ability, especially if you're a devotee of truth, a devotee of freedom. That's a strong recommendation. So today we're going to have a conversation with Lorie about, again, living from the heart and what it takes without bypassing our humanness while being fully in a body. And I'm just excited to dive into this. Lorie, thank you so much for being here and for accepting the invitation.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. Thank you. It's really good to be here. Feels really good to be in your energy. So thank you. And your audiences.
Well, it's my ultimate pleasure. I wonder what I always wonder about these pivotal moments, the fuck it moment, the moment where you're like, I have something in my heart that has been torturing me since I was a kid. When I was walking down that beach and I heard that voice saying that I'm here to assist humanity in any way, shape, or form. So I always wonder about the fuck it moment that caused you to say, I'm doing it. So what was that for you? What was it like?
Damn, the fuck it moment. Oh, I think
Or maybe it was a succession of tiny fuck it moments. I'm not sure.
It was, I mean, the vision I have that like feels like it was the fuck it moment, even though it might not have been the actual moment. But this was the moment in my mind where I was like, I'm done. I'm going to do this work. Because most of my life, since around 13, there was like this little voice my whole life, like, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. And I would just be like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So it was always there. And it was in 2015. I used to live, I don't used to, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I would take a ferry to my job in the city. So it was an awesome way to commute, like the most peaceful commute possible. And I remember one morning I was on my commute and I just said, okay, I agreed. I was like, okay, I'm in. I don't know who I was agreeing with, like, but it was something bigger than me. It was definitely not just me. Like, I knew there was some sort of contract, and it was like, okay, you guys, I'm in. I had no idea what that meant or like even what I would do. I had no idea. But I knew that as soon as I committed, it would all unravel somehow and it would be shown to me. And one thing that I am very good at is faith. Like, I don't need to be shown much, and I'll just like, I will follow breadcrumbs. I'll
Yeah.
follow very little if I feel like this is the right thing to do, like this feels right. I'm in. And I always, as long as I feel that, like, okay, this feels right. You
Yeah.
have that feeling. Then I know I'll be shown the direction. And so, yeah, back then I was like, all right. And then these little pieces just started to unfold, and I got like a mentor. And then I put a date of like when I would quit my corporate job. And I started teaching yoga full time while I was building my website. Back then, you could build your little website pretty easily. And got my social media, started doing my YouTube videos. And it's wild because I think back and I'm like, I didn't study any of the information I had. Like, I was just born with this knowledge of like the evolution that we're in. It's wild. It's like somebody gave you like an encyclopedia, but it's like energetically in you. And so if somebody asks you a question, it's like you've memorized an encyclopedia and you're like, oh, do, 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 do. And you just know it's true, but you have no idea how you know it's true. That is how I've always been, like my whole life. Like someone will ask me a question about something super random about evolution or ascension or whatever, and I would just be like, oh, and it's like, how do you know that? So that was like my backbone. Like I knew that if I turned a camera on, I could talk.
Yes.
And then I just had to figure out how I was going to make money doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how you were going to get on God's payroll to
Exactly. Oh, I
love
love that. God's payroll. Man, I got to tell you, it's been 2016 and I have never felt more on God's payroll than I do literally July 7th of 2025. Like it's been a work in progress for me to get out of the way
Yes.
and really understand what that means to be on God's payroll. That is a great book title, God's payroll.
I love that. That phrase came from there was an event that I was invited to speak on like probably last year, and the title was that, on God's payroll, and it stuck with me. The phrase just stuck with me. And there are so many things that you brought up, and I'm so curious about several aspects of it. One of them, I'm just saying it because I know I will remember it as I say it, is your relationship with your inner knowing, because it feels like there's a solid relationship there. But the first thing that came up was when you mentioned you were so good at having faith and following the breadcrumbs. And I wonder, do you think it was intrinsic, or do you think it's a skill that you acquired? Here's the ongoing theory that I have in my mind. People I know who had to live on very, very little um encouragement in childhood, usually, but just like very little, and they had to just make it through receiving not so much, not a lot of encouragement, just enough to keep going, just enough. I don't know. My ongoing theory is these people are really good outside spiritual endurance athletes or psychological endurance athletes. I just want to have a sense of what was it like for you. Maybe the faith could have been completely intrinsic, something that you came and it was already fully wired. But yeah, what comes up for you as you hear my ongoing, theory?
I love that. I mean, that theory makes a lot of sense because you're almost programmed into life, actually kind of programs you into faith without you choosing to practice faith. Like if you have that kind of childhood where you're not provided with all of these, everything's not given to you. And then you just kind of are like, oh, yeah, life's just going to give me everything I want. And I'm always going to be provided for. if you're not given that, then you really do have to, you are pummeled into what faith is. But I would even say, I would argue that even those individuals, right? And there's millions of those individuals, even they take their life into their own hands and start to create outside of God. So hear me out. If there's the difference between divine will and free will, right? So divine will would be God's will, whatever we see as God, this divine essence that is, that almost is like the highest outcome or the highest expression, right? Highest just meaning like that, the most aligned with heart, with soul, with compassion, etc. If you're given everything, then it's going to be all about, oh, I'm always given things. I'm always given things. I'm always given things, perhaps, right? If you're not always given things, and then you have to lean on this faith, then you may be really good at creating. I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to have this. And so both of those may be lacking this faith in divine will, which is basically either way, I'm not in control.
Yeah.
The I, that's like the little I, right? The little me. I think for me, it's just innate. Like there's something about me that's just like, I think I was gifted with these abilities to be in certain ways that I never tried to practice. It's just like, oh yeah, like this is the flow state. And then you're like, well, how? And then I'm like, how did I get to practicing the flow state so much? I'm like, I have no idea. It just started happening. I think that's the same thing with faith. Like, I don't know where it came from. My childhood in terms of being taken care of was pretty good. I mean, I had two parents that were emotionally completely messed up. You know, my dad was an alcoholic. There was like some sort of, weird abuse that happened. My mom was just mentally checked out. So in terms of feeling safe, it did not happen. But I was always taken care of. So I never had that lack. But this is like a whole other level of faith, like when you're recognizing the difference between my own free will, what I want. Well, actually, it would be a balance, right? Because you're co-creating with God in a way, right? So you have to kind of make the choices, but that voice of God is always guiding. Like an example is I haven't really created much in my business for the last couple of months. I've just sort of been chilling, and I went to Kenya, and I'm just kind of I just didn't have nothing came. There was nothing available, right? I'm like, there's nothing here. It's a blank slate. Like, I can't just create something just to make money. That does not work for me.
Yeah.
But I have built this relationship with Jesus the last couple of years. And one of the things Jesus recommended I do was this 40-day class. And I was like, I'm going to tell you what I'm not doing. I am not doing a 40-day. Have you lost your mind? I was like, do you know what it means to show up every day for 40 days? Like, I'm not doing that. Yeah. And so I kept putting it aside. I'm like, I'm going to think of something else. I'm going to figure something else out. Or I was even like, God, show me what's next. Meanwhile, it's like, we already told you.
It's on your lap.
It's right. This is what you're doing. So I was in my community yesterday, and I was talking to them, and I was like, hey, you guys, what do you think I should do next? And they're like, they know I've kind of been building a relationship with Jesus. And they're like, why don't you just ask Jesus? And then I was like, oh, I did. This is what he said. And then it just like kind of landed. And I was like, all right. So that was like my free will fighting divine will that's like, this is what's next. And then if I surrender, it's like, oh, I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. Something bigger has me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that so much, especially the part that you're bringing right now around surrender. I I have another running theory that
Yeah.
I have a lot of them. Basically, my
I
mind is
love it.
like an uh, an encyclopedia of like running theories that somehow unfinished. So I'm gonna bring up so many right now
Love it.
about surrender. Um, I I've had a very complicated relationship with that word. I feel like a big part of my journey has been to really learn surrender. And then my ego stepped in a way so many different times to the point of making my body sick. And there's a dimension of surrender that I've personally had to learn, which is um, recorded in my body, not as surrender, but as submission.
Mm.
And I keep being made aware of that to a certain degree. And submission to me doesn't, when I relate to the word submission from my pride and, from the ego, it feels a little demeaning. But when I really embrace that from the level of the heart, it is what it has felt like. Yes, surrender. And there is a dimension of submission there, which is like, hey, I kind of like submit.
Mm-hmm.
Not, and I'm not sure if I'm able to transmit this energy properly because it's not look at me, oh, broken me. I'm not able to create life without. No, it's not that energy. It's just like, I'm looking for a better word. But surrender wasn't cutting it fully for me. I was like, oh, I actually need to submit to this idea to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I want to sense a little bit how you vibrationally relate to what I'm sharing right now. And if you've had, because I can feel you have a feisty rebel,
Yeah.
even the way you're talking to Jesus a little bit like, man, you used to live like 2,000 years ago, bro. And now you're coming here. You're telling me that I have to run a class for 40 days. I promise you, there's a book that I wrote that's going to come out later this year, Scars of Gold. When the idea for that book came up, and I was just like, I don't give a shit where this idea is coming from. I just had a third kid right now. There's no way in hell I'm going to sit down to start writing this thing. So you can just take that book and you can shove it where. I was really mad, but the idea kept coming. So I want to have a sense of your relationship with surrender.
Yeah. I love that. When you have those moments, I mean, like when you know what I mean? Like when you're like, okay, I better stop fighting this. Then it's the greatest gift because it doesn't necessarily become easier, but at least you're not resisting what is anymore, right? Surrender, and also how it's so difficult, right, to teach these things or to discuss these things with words. It's like it's such a hindrance. You have to kind of experience it, and then as you're talking, I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and that word is just that word you're using. But energetically, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what you mean. So to teach surrender, I think allowing and surrendering are the two hardest topics to teach someone because you don't know really what surrendering. You can't surrender, just like you can't be in flow. Like it's almost impossible to be like, okay, I need you to surrender. And you're just like, I don't know how to surrender. Like, I don't even, what do you
like,
mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
What, just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Where's
right?
the button?
Yeah. Like, do I put my arms a certain way? Do I pray? Like, do I say sentences? Like, people will do whatever you say, but surrendering or allowing for what is impossible until it happens. And it happens when it happens, right? Like, I'm sure you have moments where you're like, it was like, boom. It kind of just, there's a click moment where you dropped into that deeper submissive state. Like it's almost like it happens without you necessarily even choosing it. Do you know what I mean? Like it just,
Yeah.
and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I just submitted. Like, and submit to me is a deeper surrendering, right? It's a deeper state of surrender. And honest to God, the only reason I understand surrendering, I keep understanding the levels of it, is because I fight against what is to such a degree that eventually I get knocked down. And then I'm like, oh, that's surrender.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. Okay. I got it. Like one of the greatest stories of recently of a deeper state of surrendering. And this one really, oh, also, I always try to teach this, like, I talk about it as like tattoo moments, like, oh, tattoo that moment into you so that you remember what it feels like. When I had this deeper surrender when I was in Kenya in February, I got malaria right before I was about to do a retreat. So I had like 20 people coming 7 days in 7 days, and I got hit with malaria. And I'm like, dear God, like, you got to be kidding me. But then I'm like, well, this is par for the course for me because I always want to get kind of deeply challenged. But I remember laying in my hotel bed and I was like, I praying to Jesus. I was like, okay, you say you do miracles. I'm all for a miracle right now. Like, come on in and miracle me out of this malaria. Like, I was like, I will talk about you more. I was like having like I was gonna like barter with Jesus, like
A bargaining moment. It's like making a
total
deal.
bargaining. Yeah, like I got a bargain here with you.
Yeah.
And I will remember this for the rest of my life. He said, are you okay with just having malaria, like during the retreat? Can you be okay with just having malaria? And I was like, so that like, and my thought was like, oh yeah, I could be okay. Like thinking wise, you're like, oh yeah, I can totally be okay with it. Like, sure, whatever. I'll mind my way through it, mentally try to like convince myself. But then when I drop that deeper drop where you submit, right?
Yes.
It's like, okay, take me. I'll have malaria. That's fine. And it wasn't Jesus take me or God take me. It was like life. I surrender to life. I submit to life because life can't mess up. If this is what's happening, then this is what's happening. And there's no way I could have chosen that moment.
Yeah.
It was offered to me and I stepped in. And I think that happens to a lot of us. We just aren't aware that this is an offering. This is an opportunity right now.
Yeah.
This is what teachers are talking about. Like, but we don't, it's so scary. Submitting is so scary because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's next.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. It's I mean, sometimes I have this argument with God being like, and by the way, to anyone listening to this conversation, I just want to say I have a very irreverent relationship with God, meaning we talk like friends, and that's just my way of relating to the divine. There is very little pedestaling, and sometimes I'll like, bro, I don't know who you think you are. I don't know, you think you can just point the way in that direction. You're not gonna give any like, you say you don't give any guarantees. You just like turn left and I'm supposed to turn left. Who the hell do you think you are? Type thing. Like sometimes we have heated arguments. And I know I'm in ego. I know I am like, my pride is turned on and things like that. But sometimes I just like to express that divine frustration,
Yeah.
saying like, hey, I need you to be a little bit more clear here.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a little clearer, but it's expressing that divine discontent at times has allowed me to vent a little bit of my frustration with the divine and being like, all right, fine, this is what we're doing. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll have a tantrum like a 2-year-old usually.
Yep.
And then after I'm like, okay, fine. I know what self-abandonment does to I call that soul abandonment at this point. I don't call it self-abandonment anymore. It's like when you hear that voice and you're like, yeah, I know what it does to my body. And I've been brought to levels of dis-ease where I've had to literally surrender or submit. I call it submit. And it's a little bit like jujitsu, spiritual jujitsu, and you basically have to go like this.
Tap out.
Tap out. Yeah, that's what it felt like for me. I was like, okay, good. All right, let's keep going.
Do you know the game Uncle? Did you ever play that growing up? Okay, so like if you're wrestling with someone and it's like you're being pinned or something, or your arms being pulled, if you say uncle, then that's like a tap out. Like you're done. I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm like uncle. I don't know where that came from, but that's what we say here. Or when I was growing up, that's what we used, uncle.
There are so many layers to what is happening right now that I just want to name. For many people probably listening to this, for some of you, it's going to be like a little bit abnormal. You are basically talking of a very close relationship with Jesus. And probably to some of the Christians listening to this, it's going to be like madness. It's like, who is this woman pretending that she's talking to Jesus? And you are approaching that with a level of ease. That's how I'm perceiving you. A level of grace and ease. Even before you shared more publicly about your relationship with Jesus, just being okay with being perceived as, a woman in touch with her guides and having that out there out loud. I don't think it comes naturally to most human beings to just disclose that. And I wonder if there has been for you a process of becoming the Lorie who could say, I was talking to Jesus and here's what came up. To somebody who is like a little dogmatic, it can sound ridiculous. To somebody who is a little bit like dogmatic, hearing somebody else saying, I've been speaking to my guides and this is what came up. I've been feeling for myself. Sometimes I will still sugarcoat something that has come intuitively instead of going straight and say, this is something that came up in meditation. This is something that came up when I was, I don't have necessarily a denomination for the guidance that comes to me or where it comes from. It's just like, this is a guidance that came. Sometimes I'll sugarcoat. Sometimes I'll disown the guidance. Sometimes I'll attribute it to something else. Sometimes I can see myself sometimes managing still that relationship. And it's a little bit like I am in a relation. When if let's say somebody is gay and you have like
totally,
you're still in to a certain degree, everybody knows you're gay, but you're the only one who doesn't want to say it out loud. So sometimes I've been catching myself in that paradigm being like, bro, come on. Everybody knows that you are in deep with all your woo-woo stuff. Just own it a little bit more. So yeah, what was it like for you? What comes up for you as you listen to this, as you even went through the threshold of being like, hey, I'm in a direct relationship with Jesus?
God, your analogies are so good. Oh my God. So good. I'm 100% right there with you. I think the first thing for me was when I did finally commit to doing the work that I came here to do, I had I went to Mount Shasta and I had this like ceremony almost with myself where I stood on the mountain. I stood on a mountain across from Mount Shasta. It's another kind of like turning point. And I remember saying, I will do, at that point, I was talking to guidance outside of myself, the same guidance that talked to me at 13. I don't know what inner guidance. It didn't feel like inner guidance. It felt like outer guidance. And I remember saying to it, I will do whatever you say from this point. I am 100% in. And I will commit everything to this path, this work, whatever it is. I will do everything that I'm asked. And I remember really honoring that commitment. And so when I find myself in moments during COVID, it was a real difficult flip. But when I did it, it was like, okay, with Jesus, it's the same type of like, oh God, like it's just an uncomfortable sort of, for me, and it's an uncomfortable next step of walking and sharing and teaching. But I come back to, why else are you here, Lorie? Like, and the critiquer that I have inside of me is louder than it was 5 years ago. It's much louder now. Probably because there's so much more information we're consuming than we were 5 years ago. It's a lot more. And so there's a deeper inner critique that I have that stops me. That's kind of like, why are you not just fully coming out and waving the flags? Like just be you.
Would you say it's a protective mechanism?
God, that's a good question.
Because let me just say it out loud. I feel like your, let's call it dimensional depth, and is, again, this is only my perception, but I feel like your dimensional depth is something, again, from this perception, that I have a sense you may not have so many places where you feel like there's absolute ultimate permission to express that imperfectly. Not perfectly, but imperfectly. And I've been working with that specific energy. It's like, what does it look like to give myself full permission to shine my light imperfectly? Not perfectly, but imperfectly. Anyways, I just wanted to name that, and I'm curious to know what comes up for you.
God, that's a good question. I mean, every day I am aware how I'm not 80% of the time, at least in my own perception, it feels like I'm not fully 100% just authentically expressing. There always feels like there's something critiquing it, judging it, watering it down. And I say to myself, like, wow, Lorie, if you didn't have the voices running in your head saying certain things, how would you show up? And then it's like, but why is this happening? And then I'm like, I'm having this battle where I'm like, okay, what if and sometimes when like I do my Untangled series, I know that once I start talking, then it takes over and there isn't that critique. I don't even remember what I say. But prior to jumping into that movement of just speaking, that inner critiquer that I have is really detrimental. And I keep thinking like, well, Lorie, during COVID, you didn't have that critiquer, because I didn't. And I was like, well, during COVID, it was dire straits. Like I knew that humanity needed this voice every day. So it was almost like I didn't even have time to have the critiquer show up. It was like almost like if we were in like a tornado or tsunami, it was like there's no time to think. You just need to show up. Now there's more time to think. And that critiquer is just, it is literally the nemesis of my life. Like I was having this conversation 2 days ago. And actually wrote it down because I was watching a podcast and somebody said something to the effect of like, or I heard it somewhere. It's like, remember why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Remember why you're here. And for me, I don't have a family. I don't have a husband. There's very little that I have in my life other than really my work, right? And that's not a
Mm-hmm.
bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just how my life has unraveled for me. And so I know deep down, I really did come here to do this big assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And shame on me for letting myself, I mean, God bless me for being me on this planet, navigating everything. But shame on me if I'm letting myself, stopping myself because I'm in the human experience that's with a mind that's convincing me not to say things when the whole purpose that your soul incarnated is to shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's, through my work, there is something that I've seen when it comes to, because I have a parallel relationship with the critic inside of me. And I call it also my spiritualized inner critic, because that inner critic at the moment, the image that I have of that part of me, it's usually of an archbishop with, like, you know,
oof,
priesthood
oof.
robes, that can sometimes get loud around the ways I'm not honoring the mission the ways I quote unquote should. And the work over the last several years has been to bring that part of me into my heart and to really hear it out so much more. And sometimes we get into fist fights, internally as well. I just want to have the full transparency with anyone listening to this. And sometimes I ask myself, I have these thoughts. I'm like, did Jesus have an inner critic? And anyways,
It's a
I'll
good
just put
question.
that aside.
Yeah,
I'll just put that aside. But what I wanted to ask you
it's a good
is
question.
to kind of humanize the conversation. What are the themes that your inner critic can get very loud about?
I do think Jesus had an inner critic because I think he was
I
very
think so
human.
too.
Yeah, I think he was very human. Um, um, oh God, that's a really good question. I mean, I sabotage a lot, so um, I don't see myself the way others see me.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a real work in progress. There's a belief I have that if I actually see myself the way others see myself, I will. This is funny. If I've actually never said this out loud, if I see myself the way others see myself, I'll sabotage my success. Like I'll sabotage my ability to be, to make an impact in
Mm-hmm.
this world, which is a really strange belief to have. So now I have to kind of hold this belief that I'm less than or not important or, and it's not from this ego perspective. It's from the soul wanting to express, and somehow I'm not making this okay. Like that fine line between um the persona, like believing that this is who I am,
Mm-hmm.
getting that in that trap of like, oh, I'm insecure or I'm unworthy, or of course that's the human experience. Like those are the limiting beliefs that I hold. And what's what's God's truth? What's my soul's truth?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that? Not Lorie, you need to get rid of those limiting beliefs. What I've been practicing is, okay, kind of like what you said, you brought the archbishop into your heart, right? It's like, okay, these things are here, and so too is soul, so too is God at the same time. So, what does that feel like? Um, And it's helped me because it's like a seesaw for me, where if I just get fixated on trying to fix myself, then I'm just fixated on trying to change what's never really been me anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So if I start practicing holding this other frequency or energy almost, right? What does God feel like? What does the soul feel like? And really trying to practice that, like, what does that actually feel like? What would that actually say to me? And like getting out of the mind and getting into the beingness of that. One, it's infuriating because then I realize, how deeply ingrained I am in the human part, the mind and all that. But it helps me to start getting out of my way more and more. And honestly, that's a big piece of why my relationship with Jesus has been building, is because it's the one thing that has truly made me feel free.
Yeah.
It sets me free, and I have no explanation for that. It just, something about it is so pure. It's such a pure experience for me that it peels away all the intensity of the human experience, even if it's for 2 seconds or 1 minute or 2 minutes. It's
Yeah.
it's a feeling of like really just being me,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such
There's
a, yeah.
there's something about that train of thought and the way I've, just like you've been exploring, even navigating these intense moments of inner criticism that will unfold at times. And lately, I don't know if this is a little bit of the, I have a little bit of a, let me, the word that comes to mind that people don't really like a lot, is a spiritual wrecking ball inside of me.
Mm.
I often like to challenge these thought forms. And I'm like, okay, then what? To the critic, it's like,
Mm.
you mentioned something that was so, and I felt the tenderness in that. It was like these thought forms that are emerging, keeping me from doing the work that I came here to do. And you mentioned the sabotage and all the ways, you know, it is not supporting in honoring this work. Um, you didn't say that, especially in these words, especially, but the sabotage was keeping you from honoring the work in the way you could. And usually, something that I've been doing that I found tremendously liberating, and it's extremely counterintuitive. I've been going down the spiral and almost like bringing the light down the spiral. And I was like, okay, if I keep sabotaging forever, then what is going to happen? What would it mean? And, you know, the answer was like, okay, I will sabotage my work. I won't be doing my work anymore. And then I kept going. And if I don't do my work anymore, then what? Or I wouldn't be doing my work because it's, what do you mean by that? Just like I've
Mm.
been kind of like descending the light and going down there. And I wouldn't be doing my work because of this, and I just air out all these thoughts instead of, lately I've seen that having so much more spaciousness for me. Instead of arguing with it, I'm like, okay, tell me more. I'm so tired of fist fighting with you.
Mm.
And we go in there. And sometimes I usually reach a point of like, therefore, all the efforts you put into creating your work, your business, and all that, blah, 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 it would be meaningful. And it wouldn't be meaningful anymore. It would be a waste or something like that. And I'm like, okay, if all of that was just a waste, then what? Then what would it mean? And I usually then what, another voice comes up. Then what would be the damn point of being here on the planet?
Ay.
And it's like, okay, maybe there is no point. And if I reach that level where there is no point, then what?
Oof.
You know, it's usually I get to that point and I feel myself kind of engineering a weird form of acceptance and like really
Oof.
descending there and
Oh yeah.
almost the renunciation of purpose. And I know
Yeah.
it's such a scary thought for many light workers
Yeah.
to almost like renounce purpose, to be like, could it be
Ah.
safe in my body that the very thing that my soul came here to do, that I don't do any of that? Like, could it be safe in my body? And I usually sit with that thought. And on one end, it can create so much paralysis. But when I say the yes, it's like I submit to the thought. The expansion that
Oof.
happens in my body, it's off the chart. It's like, bro, you've been creating such a bubble of pressure, especially since right now you actually have a work. You know, it's like, it's been hitting me so hard. It's like, oh, now you have a work. You actually, you. So these are the journeys I've been having with my critics so recently, and it's been sobering and liberating in some weird ways. I just want to have a sense of what comes up for you.
I mean, talk about submission. I feel that state that you find yourself dropping into. It's it's freedom almost. You're free. I've actually never I've never thought of surrendering to you're just never going to do your work, Lorie. First of all, obviously I'm doing my work, so it's absurd to even say that, right? It's embarrassing. Like, what are you talking about? But like surrendering over to that belief. That's not. It's just a thought. It's almost like it no longer has authority over you or power over you. And I'm just becoming aware right now as we're speaking about this, like how how I am internally freaking fighting this. Like, and actually, that last night was it last night or the night before? I remember thinking how since COVID times, since 2020, there hasn't been a morning where I haven't woken up and had some sort of sense of anxiety around my work.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every day of like, how are you going to show up? Did you show up? Why didn't you show up? I mean, it's torture. I'm sure people have this with all different types of subjects in their lives, right? Mine just happens to be my work. So what we're talking about is like, you could, what the subject we're using, you could use for anything.
Yes.
You know, we worry so much about all these different things. And what if we just completely surrendered to that outcome happening? You're like flooring me. I'm like being wowed right now because I'm like, wait, how come I never thought about that? Like, wait a second. Like, because it's exactly like what Jesus said with the malaria. Like, it's not about healing, getting out of the malaria. It's about being okay with being in the malaria.
Yes.
Like, so if I'm like, okay, you're never, ever, ever going to do your work again, like, and sit with the feeling state of that.
Yes.
It's the feeling state. You can't think it. It's not going to do anything. The feeling state.
Yeah.
Then you break free.
Like this, there was a point in my journaling practice, I was like, I think I need to create some Lightworker Anonymous, like, because I can feel that I've developed some sort of like addiction to light, basically. It's like, you know, and
Lightworkers Anonymous.
Yeah, I was having some moments where it felt like I was only willing to love myself when at the end of the day I had posted something. I felt like I inspired somebody. And if I hadn't done, or I had like facilitated and it felt like I was the best I could possibly be in that facilitation and whatever it felt like, it was like call it spiritual perfectionism, and the wrath that came after that of you know the moments where I wasn't able to match that frequency or to be in that vibration. I was just like, I have an unhealthy relationship with my light,
Wow.
and I really need to sit down. And I was like, no, this is not it. This is not it. It's like we are having the same kind of like almost like inner abusive dynamics that I was
Yeah.
feeling. I was like, the days where I don't feel like I am in service and where I don't feel, it's like these are days where I'm not good to be around.
Yes.
It's like, my kids look at me and like, you have your eyebrows. I'm like, damn it, no, that's not the point. And yeah, so the
God.
learning to love myself in the moments of disconnect, like really in the
Mm.
moments where it feels like God has gone blank, or my guidance is not coming out, or I feel completely uninspired. I'm curious how you deal with
Yeah.
that as well.
God.
That's just I'm in that process of really learning, making peace with accepting that, and being at ease with these moments. And yeah, I'm curious how you deal with these moments.
Well, it's a real interesting conversation because I think if you work on social media, like if you work online, I think you can relate to this. Well, actually, maybe not. I mean, you think about it like a CEO of a business or a person that does marketing for somebody, or how identified. What's coming up for me is how identified am I with my role as the teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think the dance that I have to do with my work online is, where am I getting my worth from? Like the interesting way in which if I post something, and most people won't admit this, right? But it's true.
Mm-hmm.
If you post something and you get likes, it's like, oh, I'm good. Like
Yes.
Pavlov's dog, right? Like, oh, I'm a good person. I did a good job, right?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, for whatever reason, for the algorithm, it doesn't get out, then I screwed up. There's something wrong with me. And that awareness has blown my mind. And I've been aware of that for about 2.5 to 3 years. And I've legit been practicing on the constant that awareness, because it does infiltrate my worthiness
Mm-hmm.
more than before. So I'm conscious of that. I'm conscious of the humility of what social media does to my worthiness. Constantly checking it, trying to override it by remembering the power of just my authentic voice, like just But there is something to be said, like when I do show up, like even doing this podcast, I was like, yay, I'm going to feel good about myself afterwards. Like there's something to be said about like doing something,
Yes.
like showing up feels good, whether it's received well or not, it still feels good.
Yeah.
Um, but it's that balance between, it's not all of you. It's a role. It's a part of the character. Um, but we identify with it so much. We
Yes.
make it who we are. It's just the character, on the
Yes.
stage with its little outfit on. But we'll argue for it. We're like, no, it's the main role. It's like, you know, um, and there is a part of that, right? Where it's like your soul did come down and it's like it's playing a pretty hefty role, right? So like
Yeah.
that's there too. Not everyone has these like more heftier, defined roles in service. It's not like they're a better soul or a less soul. It's just many souls have like a real defined, you're here to be of service, right? Like there's a real direct relationship between you and serving humanity in a very clear, obvious way. And so if you have that as a soul, it's torture because it doesn't go away. You would be miserable at the end of the day if your work got pulled from you. But would you be more free? Like it's such a weird. I juggle with this. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just gonna run away and go sit in a freaking monastery somewhere in a cave and never do any of this again. And then I'm like, Lorie, you would go crazy in 10 days.
You would sit there on day one, and then your heart would say, "Okay, now it's time to go back."
100%. Like, okay, that was a great idea.
Nice hike. Now go down.
Yeah.
Oh. There's something that you mentioned, and I've been wanting to ask you that because when you shared about the shift that happened and not hearing that critical voice, especially during the times of COVID and stuff like that, I mean, you showed up like an ultimate warrior during that period of time, and the devotion, the consistency, it was really something to behold. Let me just put it that way, because there was such a collective fear out there. And even in spiritual communities, there were people who chose the path of appeasement instead of choosing the path of truth. And truth is sometimes spicy. So there's this part of me, as soon as you shared, I wanted to ask you, do you think at this point you have licked all the wounds of that intense period of warriorship? Because it was fucking intense. I don't know about how you perceived it in your body or how you navigated that. I mean, from my own perception of that, it was really intense. And I just thought of asking you, how do you feel like you've recovered fully? If there's anything to recover, but the thought was just there.
It's a real question.
How didn't you? I mean, the people, I have such a great degree of respect for the teachers and the guides out there that continue to show up even after that phase and did not experience, I mean, maybe you did, I don't know, and I'm curious to know, a certain degree of spiritual burnout.
Dude, so it's so funny. The other day, there's this Netflix documentary about this cruise ship in Mexico where like they lost all power and everybody was in panic and, they didn't have food and blah, blah, blah. And my mom was like, oh my God, would you be freaking out if you were on there? And I was like, no, I would be thriving. Like, meaning like I thrive when there is chaos, when people are losing their minds, when everyone is in fear. That is literally when I turn on. That's when I go to work. So but like massive chaos, right? I'm not praying for massive chaos, but if massive chaos breaks out again, that is where I do my most brilliant work because I was primed for it. I'm primed for those cataclysmic moments. But I did burn out. I burn out because my book also came out in 2022. So I was also editing my book. And I would say that it's only been it's when I went to Kenya last year in December that I started to get life back in me of wanting to show up for 22, 23, a year and a half, at least a year and a half. It took everything for me to show up. Mm-hmm. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to show up, what sparked life in me, what gave me life. You know, I don't like doing things that don't light me up. And I really did want to burn it all down, but I knew I couldn't because then I couldn't pay my rent and et cetera. So I knew I had to keep the basics going. But I didn't have that zest for showing up like I did during COVID. I mean, I love being that real deep support for people when they think they're going to, you know, when they have no hope. I really love that piece. And I didn't know that. I didn't know like that's where I would turn on, you know, that's where my real, it's like something just like, you know, think about like, and I've been this way most of my life. Like if there's like really dramatic things that happen, like at an airport, you know, like the airplane, if something happens with the airplane or people freak out, I'm like, go time. I just like become like the sane person that just like walks people through the whole journey. But I did burn out, that's for sure. And I don't know how I still don't know how people keep going every day, all day. Like it feels so different on the planet now. It feels so, it feels like it's a lot to be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it just feels different now on an energetic level. Like it feels like everyone is sort of like, I mean, listen, life is a gift. It's such a gift to be here. And every day I do my best to hold that lens, but it does feel like for me and people around me, like something's different. Like something's just different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
What's your take on that energy? Because sometimes I sit in it and it feels like a low grade of collective depression. Sometimes it feels, I don't know. I've been engaging with this energy, and maybe that's, as I'm saying these words out loud, a part of me is like, well, yeah, maybe that's the issue. You've been engaging with this energy instead of anchoring the new. That thought just sparked as soon as I was talking about it. But I'm still
yeah,
going to
because
speak.
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, because your blueprint, one of the kind of foundational blueprints for your work, like one of my foundational blueprints is like, I'm going to go into the dark stuff and walk people through it. One of your blueprints is I'm going to be in that, but I'm going to anchor that higher lens, that higher reality. And like that yeah, but you still have to you still have to stand in it, but you're absolutely right. Like why are you focusing? You actually don't need to focus on it, right? Like you're actually designed more to like try to focus on the smaller reality that's not as brilliant yet frequency wise, right? Like the collective energy, whether we we can argue for this, but the collective energy is collectively in a lower vibrational state than the frequency that we're headed to, obviously, right? And so something has to kind of keep us without being too disassociated or disconnected from the
Yes.
collective, right? So
Yeah.
that's the difference with you. It's like there's a lot of people that are just so disconnected, and it's like, oh yeah, it's all just love and light over here. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm in what? You know, so you're like, I'm gonna feel the collective energy. So I understand what's happening, but I'm going to anchor or focus on where the collective is going
Mm-hmm.
because they're not aware of it yet. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the vibe I get with your kind of soul foundational signature. Um,
Yes.
you
And
know?
lately, there's this, when it's like pure duality, like old paradigms of like separation, and it's really clear. You kind of, it's old school. You know how to navigate it. You know the pitfalls. You see separation. You know what it's like. I feel like we've entered this gray zone. It's no longer just like pure black and white. It's like this gray zone where there are people who are, way more people awake, a whole lot more people half awake, and it's like in touch with light, but still um not fully aware of how to anchor it. It's a
Mhm.
weird soup. The way you mentioned it, the energy right now to me has felt like this weird soup
Mhm.
where um I see so many people just settle for a generalized feeling of hopelessness, or
Mhm.
like pessimism, or I don't know, and they find safety in that. It's like people have been so disappointed
Mhm.
that it feels risky to even
Mm.
expect something beautiful, something benevolent. They are not even willing to look at that at times. There's just been so many bummed. Yeah, I don't know. They've just
Mhm.
been bummed so many times. And
Mhm.
I feel this like cry from the collectives, almost like saying, where's the benevolence in that? It's like,
Oh.
sure, I could go and reach for the higher realms and attempt to only operate from that place, but where's the benevolent? I can feel that when I tune into that energy, people have a hard time
Yeah.
risking being hopeful or having faith into, again, as I'm saying that, I'm aware that so many people don't like the word hope. So disregard hope. Take a different hope. Aspire to anything more beautiful. I feel like people at this time are more hesitant to
Mhm.
even want to open their hearts to a higher timeline.
Mhm.
So I don't know, I was curious on your read when it comes to these energies that we're navigating. And I wonder, maybe the energies don't even want to be defined. Um, yeah.
I mean, it's so hard to define the energies now. That's what's so crazy is like it's too much effort to try to like
Mm-hmm.
it's like I don't even know what is happening. But what I'm feeling, what I am feeling a lot of like on an intuitive cellular level is humanity is going to start to recognize, and it's similar to what you're saying. So you could say that humans are really wanting, even though they would argue that they're not trying to control the outcome of everything's going to suck, and there's still they're controlling that. So you have to have a lot of faith and trust in miracles, in great things happening, in wars ending. That's like, no, they're not. No, it's not. It's like, but
Yeah.
what if it does? So if you talk about submission, right? If we go back to surrendering and submission, you have to really submit or surrender to this notion that there is something bigger, God, within us and around us that's trying to get our attention. And so if you recognize that that might be one of the baseline functions of the evolution in human consciousness, then it becomes, well, how do I start accessing the God within me, the God around me? Well, I have to let go. Well, what does let go mean? Well, first of all, stop saying that this is how it's going to go. But I don't know how it's going to go. What if but that's letting go. Like there's so many different layers that we all are going to find ourselves in. I mean, you've been talking about it. I've been talking about it in our own personal lives, but even the pessimism, you got to let that go. I'm going to keep getting sick. You got to let that go. Like, meaning you've got to like let go and let God. Whatever that means to you, whether it means that you are listening to the inner voice within you more, which means you're not in control, or you're listening to this outer voice that's this essence of God that's trying to get you to follow, to trust, to believe. I believe that's what's coming. That is what's happening. I think that's part of why there's this Christ consciousness revival in a way, right? This Jesus revival. It's really this essence of recognizing that we are an aspect of God and that God's all around us, and we got to stop trying to control this. And we know how hard it is to surrender and submit. Like, imagine an entire collective, But I got this the other day. I was like, dude, if we all just believed that there is this omnipresent God, and that if we pray to this God, meaning this overarching essence of the creator being, right? The light of everything, the light of all of us. If we started to actually understand the power of this, and we started praying that this essence heal the planet, that it take away the wars. But if we actually believed it and we had faith in that, God would be like, done. Yeah, miracles. I really believe that. People might think I'm living in la la land, but I mean, one of the reasons I think that the Jesus story is so freaking mind blowing, if you believe it, is dude, the dude resurrected. Pause. If that's true, and there's a lot of evidence for it. If that's true, what the WTF? Miracles can happen. And you think about all the stories that he did, right? It's why are we thinking that shit's going to hit the fan? It's going to be horrible. Why can't miracles happen?
Yeah.
And then really starting to kind of drop into what does that mean in our everyday lives, while we simultaneously understand that we can't pay our bills. We have we're going through a divorce. You just you had a miscarriage. All the things that happen in life are still happening. But what happened to this, why are we not praying into this miraculous essence that essentially, is here? I don't know. It's just, I just keep feeling into this more and more. But I'm also, like I said earlier, still dealing with self-sabotage and all the basic human stuff. Yeah.
What would you say was the catalyst? And maybe there wasn't. Maybe there was just an arrival to this kind of Jesus revival. You had a personal one. And then I remember watching a bit of you had a documentary. And in the documentary, you were in, I'm not sure if it was a church, but it was the backyard of a building with a big statue of Jesus. And you are able to hear so clearly the voice of Jesus.
So cool.
And I wonder, what was this return for you? And I've been curious about that for you.
I mean, I wasn't religious. I wasn't brought up religious. I never really went to church. when I was it was in the Netherlands when I was doing my book tour, and we were at a convent that had closed. I kid you not, I had never seen that Jesus statue on the cross. I'd never seen it. I mean, I guess I've driven by and seen it throughout my life, but I'd never, it was like it never existed, you know? It was never something I thought about, looked at, felt in. I mean, it was just, huh? Like, what do you mean Jesus on the cross? Like, it just was not, I didn't understand. So when I saw it there, I was like, what the freak is this? I'm sure people thought I was nuts now that I look back, but I was like, oh my God. And I just felt like this overwhelming energy. And so I walked back to the backyard of the convent and I stood. I just started crying. And I felt Jesus. I was like, what is this? Like, whatever this is so real. It felt so palpable. Like he was standing right there talking to me. I could feel his pain for humanity. I could feel the pain he felt in human suffering, how they're suffering mentally, physically, that just the suffering of humanity. I felt it. And I remember he said something profound to me around don't waste a moment to open humanity's hearts or something like that. And that was before I really, a couple months later is when I was like, you know, I really want to build a relationship with you. I want to for me, it was more like, I want to practice from you. It wasn't a religious thing. I was not seeing it as a religious thing or as any of that or Christian thing. I was like, dude, I need to learn from you and like, show me your ways. It was very like egoic, Lorie. Like, I'm going to do, I do not want to die until I've like really kind of, done the best that I could to kind of live the life the way you lived. That's how it started.
Yeah.
And
I'm curious what it felt like for you to own publicly, to come out of the closet, basically.
Oh, it's horrible. Oh my God. I was like, it was literally harder than talking about COVID.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It was harder than talking about COVID. And I think that's because I'm not yet secure enough in my relationship with him. And I obviously, if I was super confident, 100% confident in it, there would be I would be shouting it from the rooftop. So there has to be something within me that is still feeling a little insecure around it. So I don't really know what that is, other than the ridicule, the judgment, what people are going to think. It's a very, very, I had no idea because I'd never planned on talking about Jesus, like ever in my life. Right. So I didn't realize how divisive it was. Until I realized I didn't want to talk about it. And then I was like, well, that's interesting. Like, why would you not want to talk about it? Right. Like, and then I'm realizing like all the beautiful relationship moments I've had with him. And I'm like, man, I really want to share this with people. But then I'm realizing I have to like really be careful how I share it. And it's really triggering for people. And then really honoring what people have gone through growing up. And I never knew that because I wasn't in that world. So starting to really understand that deep trauma people have from the church. Like, I was like, holy cow, I am so sorry you had to go through that. Like, that is not how I experience this man. Like, oh my God, that is such a disservice that people feel these ways. Anyways, it's been a wild ride. Like,
there are a few things that I want to reflect. It's like, the first thing is, I think you are way more secure than you give yourself credit for, in terms of like owning and just talking about it. Even to the extent that you've done, I think there's a great degree of credit to be given there, honestly. Because having, I grew up Catholic. I know that the degree of divisiveness, even within Christian communities. Let's not, the different versions of Christianity, like it's a cesspool of divisiveness. It's huge. Most people can't even begin to understand how divided, even within the Christian ecosystem, people are. So yeah, it's just huge.
It's
But so
huge.
so it's like I see you went in there with the heart, the innocence of the heart, and just being like, this is the beauty of what is ongoing in my life at the moment, and I can't even imagine what it felt like for you to be slammed in the face. It's just
Yeah.
like, girl, probably people were just like, girl, shut up, don't even come, don't even start, anyways. Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
so do you often have moments where you're like, man, like when you started talking about how polarized the reaction was, part of me was just, look at this motherfucker, 2,000 years after you're
I
still
know.
polarizing people like that, just like,
Like,
what's you know
come on, you like I'm literally looking like I look at most things. I have opinions. I
yes.
believe in right and wrong. Okay. I tend to look at things from this more like scientific, like I'm like this energetic scientist around evolution, right? So I'm just like, I'm so curious, like, wait, why are we so triggered? And like, wait, this man's story is incredible. And because I wasn't born and because I wasn't raised Catholic or Christian, I don't have any of those lenses. So I'm like,
Yes.
a kid in a candy store, like, what? Wait a second. What did he do? Hold on a second. Like, pause. How are we still talking about him too? There's religions that have been created. Like, I just was like blown away when I really started to like, from a real um non-judgmental perspective, just really started to investigate more the story of him. Um, and because I was gifted with these abilities to channel, I've channeled and connected to so many energies, um, so many different energies. And it's for me, it's like, okay, I've been around the block,
Hmm.
right? Like I've felt so many different masters and um, all of them having really beautiful, profound reasons and purposes for um, their mission with the planet from, on an energetic level. But I've never, hands down, never experienced um, what I experience when I'm connecting with Jesus. And I still, even yesterday, I wrote down this like graph of like I did like it says source, right? So I had to
Hmm.
understand like, wait, what is this Jesus character right now in the evolution? Like, make this make sense to me, right? Because it's so confusing. Because there's the religious piece, there's the Bible, there's the Christ conscious, there's all, and I'm like, but there's something powerful here. There's a piece here about this during our evolution. So I was like, okay, I'm going to draw this picture of source, like basically like where we all came from. And then I did like the little spark that came out. And I put like, okay, the spark of God. And then and then I had another little arrow that was a person. And I put that person as Yeshua. And then I put the earth. And then I put another earth. And then I was putting like evolution. I'm like trying to wrap my head around what's this man's purpose right now in our evolution, because it's so programmed. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like if you say the word Jesus, there's an immediate program to it. So
Yes.
I'm like, even I'm like peeling back like, what is that program? And how do I get to like the purity of like, what is this?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And what conclusions did you arrive to?
None. I'm still trying to dissect it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know there's something here. I know there's a piece that we haven't quite, like there's a puzzle piece missing. That's what it feels like with the evolution and Jesus, whatever. It's like something, and I had this when I was writing my book too. It was like, I don't know if you had this when you were downloading and writing your book, but like you knew something else was there, but like you didn't have the information yet, but you knew there was something else there. Do you know that feeling?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's how I that's what I'm having with Jesus. I'm like, we're missing the mark. There's something that I'm not quite getting yet that I'm trying to peel back and figure out. It's like a missing piece, but I don't have that missing piece yet. But it's a different perspective than how either side or multiple sides are seeing this. It's fascinating. I'm staying open to it, and I'm like, all right, but I know that my lens is all about the evolution. So anything that's happening has to be about the evolution for me, So why Jesus? Like I didn't go looking for him, So yeah, it's just been fascinating.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. I just find it fascinating, and there is something, like as a child, the relationship with Jesus that I had was always very, very strong, even though I was the rebel who didn't like going to church and all of that. But if I was ever in any kind of trouble, troubled by anything, I just had this visceral trust. Like it was visceral. And I used to threaten people with that. Like I used to like be this little kid being like, if you just try to mess up with me in any way, shape, or form, like I will descend onto you like that you've never seen before. That
Wow.
knowingness, I couldn't explain that. Was the knowingness was there. Even during the darkest moments, episodes of depression, that knowingness was there. And my problem has always been during a big period of that time, just my pride. And again, I've been working with really just learning the technology of surrender, submission, however we want to put that, and just being like, okay, it is safe for me to be held by something I don't really understand.
Yeah.
And maybe that doesn't even want to be fully understood.
Yeah.
But I've been wanting to ask you, as we kind of like wrapping up, what do you think are a few attributes that it would be important for people to cultivate during these times of, I mean, we call it Great Awakening. And I think with Great Awakening comes great confusion, great, I don't know, chaos, inner chaos. There's just been a lot of that going on. I feel like some people, especially lately, have been dealing with a lot more mental instability than ever before. And yeah, what comes up for you?
I think one of the most important practices that that I do all day long, and I don't know where it came from, but it has helped me tremendously, is that life doesn't make mistakes. And feeling into that and having faith in that or trust in that. Life doesn't make mistakes. Life can't make it's impossible for life to make a mistake. It doesn't mean that I like what's happening. It doesn't mean that I don't have temper tantrums. It doesn't mean that I don't resist. But regardless of my reaction to what's happening in my life, I know underneath it all that life does not make mistakes. There are no mistakes. meaning whatever's happening is exactly what is supposed to happen. And it's not a bypass or a cop out. It's actually the opposite. It's fully being in that river of life, and realizing that we don't have control. In my opinion, the way I've experienced life, I don't have control over how the river's going to be. So I don't have control over what life's going to show me every day. But I have a choice in how I'm going to respond to it. And so if I use the lens that life doesn't make a mistake, it's impossible. Nature doesn't make mistakes. The river doesn't make a mistake. Oh, that rabbit shouldn't have been there. If I hold that perspective all day long, it is the greatest gift, because I give myself permission to be human and have all the ups and downs, fights, patterns of behavior I don't like, emotions that are annoying, all of that. Mm-hmm. And I know life is not making a mistake. Whatever's happening is not a mistake. And that's changed my life tremendously. I don't even know where it came from. I just started recognizing that.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Just like I don't know. It feels like acceptance doesn't cut it in terms of describing this energy. I mean, yes, it's acceptance. And at the same time, it's acceptance mixed with faith, mixed with like knowingness, mixed with like, I mean, so many dimensions of. The only thing that comes to mind is like trusting the divine design. And I know the divine design is the name of the title of your book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are so many. I keep looking at my clock and I keep hearing in my head so many different questions that I would love to bring up. And at the same time, I want to be extremely mindful of your generosity with your time. So do you think we have room for 3 more questions?
Yeah, of course. Okay. I would love to hear what you would say really fast to that question you asked. Like, what's...
To that, I think if as a practice, just like the acceptance part is so important for me as well. A question that I've been asking people in my community, people that I work with, is this very annoying question, like, can that be okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same kind of principle. It's just like, can that be okay? Can that be okay? Can the anxiety be okay? Can whatever you're experiencing right now be okay? Can the fact that you don't have a solution in sight be okay? Can the fact that, I don't know, maybe there is somebody in position of power that you're not very happy with there, can that be okay? Or maybe somebody in position of power that you wanted there that doesn't seem to be doing the thing that you wanted them to do, can that be okay? It's like, can that just be okay? That's the first thing. And the other thing is, I feel like we're being collectively trained to open up so much more to undesirable truths. And there are loads of them that want to come to light.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say one thing that some people can really do right now is to microdose undesirable truths.
Oof.
And I mean, we can microdose ayahuasca, we can microdose all this psilocybin, whatever, plant medicine. There's something about microdosing truth and asking constantly, kind of like, dear God, dear higher self, or whatever, dear source, show me the truth that I have been unconsciously running away from. Show them to me in a way that my system can like handle gradually, but I want to see them. I am tired and sick and tired of living in falsehood. That has been an intention of mine consistently. Especially when I feel like my energy is becoming sluggish, I'm like, okay, if there's a truth that I'm not willing to see right now, bring it to my awareness. Just try, if you can, just be gentle. But beyond everything,
be gentle.
Bring it to my awareness.
Don't forget to say be gentle.
Yeah, it's the microdosing and undesirable truth for me has become a huge practice. Just asking. And sometimes I may not be aware of, I'll be like, okay, if there's a truth in my blind spot that I'm not seeing right now, bring it.
That's brilliant. Microdosing undesirable truths. Brilliant. No wonder you do quotes all the time. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's the practice that I've been sitting with. And yeah.
I mean, that humbles you.
Mm-hmm.
It humbles you.
Yeah.
You know, it creates a lot of humility. Also curiosity. I think that's one of the greatest words we can start playing around with is getting curious, instead of getting resentful or resistant. Get curious.
Yeah.
Curiosity flips it. It flips the lens. But I do like that also, that can I be okay with this? I used to do these align classes where basically it's awareness practice that I would teach, 21 days. And we would always do that practice of, can this be okay?
Yes.
Can this be okay?
Yeah.
And then you have the fight in your head. Of course it can't be okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Yeah, but can it be okay?
And then sometimes there's a sarcasm that comes in that's like, well, I guess it's gonna have to be. And I'm like, yeah, sure, it's gonna have to be, but is it?
Mm-hmm.
What would it take for it to be? And it's
which is allowing. That's what allowing is. That's flow.
Yeah.
That's presence. That is the deep practice of life.
Yeah.
That is essentially what you're saying and I'm saying is the same thing. There are no mistakes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just you did it in a way that people can actually practice it, right? By saying that statement. It's the same thing though.
It is the same thing, same essence.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you one thing is, what would you say to a light worker who is sitting in a closet or who is playing church with their light? It's like, playing church is on Sunday, you put your nice clothes, you go to church, you do your practice, you pray and whatever. And then you get out of church, you almost forget what the priest said or whatever it was about. And then yeah. So what would you say to somebody who is in that place, knowing that to a certain degree, they are playing church with their brightness because of how they feel the world is going to judge them? Or what would you say to somebody in that place?
I mean, exactly what I said to myself a couple of days ago. First of all, we all have, a large majority of us have those beliefs. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. Everybody else is doing it. So you have to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. You have to, those thoughts may never go away. They just may never go away. So waiting for the thoughts to change in order for you to do it, you could be waiting the rest of your life. So first, this is just life. Welcome, right? And number two, which is what I was telling myself the other day, was, can you reach into that? We all have a soul, right? We all incarnated here. We all dropped in. That means we all have to have some sort of memory of dropping in, of saying yes. Okay. And if you're a light worker, then there's an even deeper cellular memory of get to work.
Yeah.
And so you have to start asking yourself, what's more important? The fear of what I have, the limiting thoughts and the fears, or getting to work and just starting. You just got to jump. You're never going to feel ready. It's never going to look pretty. It's never going to be all put together. And it needs to be messy. it needs to be a shit show. You need to just have no idea and you just jump and do it anyway. But I guarantee you, when you pass and you move back out of the physical form, you're going to be real pissed off if you don't do it. You know, you're going to be real pissed off at yourself. Like, it got me. The damn game got me. Don't let the game get you. You know, don't let this game get you. And the game is the mind. You know, you got to do it. It's going to be messy, and you do it anyway. We all have that fear. We all have those doubts. Yes. Even the biggest names out there, you know, you got to do it.
Yeah. It's like expecting of yourself to no longer have these fears. It's almost attempting to dehumanize yourself.
Yeah. And I think we beat ourselves up because we're like, well, nobody else has these thoughts because no one else is talking about them, you know? But if everyone were talking about these real, you know, insecure thoughts they have, then we'd be like, oh, I'm totally normal. Like, I'm going to go out and do this now. But we don't realize how similar we all are, and that there isn't anything wrong with you being in the closet. There isn't anything wrong with all the different insecure thoughts you have. There isn't anything wrong with you. And normalizing it. And for me, I still have to just do it anyways. I have to do everything anyways. Because if I did listen, I may never show up. So it's like, I got to go anyways. And I think that's the difference between people that really, I don't want to say successful, but the people that do follow their drive and the people that don't. I think the only real difference is that they just do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Nike found the real slogan.
Just do it. Exactly.
Just do it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's so simple, but it's so hard.
Yeah. There is the title of the book I'll be releasing later this year is called Scars of Gold. And I wanted to ask you, is there a wound that you've gone through that revealed itself to maybe become a scar of gold? Something that equipped you, like working on healing this wound uniquely equipped you to do the work you're doing today?
Oh, that is so damn good. Oh, that's a good question. I think personally for myself that scar hasn't fully come to life yet for me. In full transparency, there is still some stuff that I believe if I were to truly get on my knees and heal it deeply, that would be the scar that turned to gold. I wish that I could say, yeah, this is the scar that is the gold. But I don't think I've dropped into it. I know it, and I know what it is. I just haven't fully courageously, I don't want to say healed it, but it's still waiting for me.
Yeah.
It's still waiting for me. And what's the reason for me waiting? I don't know. It's because what you just said, the name of your book is so brilliant, because every time I kind of tap into this wound and then I run from it, I always hear God say, this is the greatest gift you're going to be able to give to humanity. Why are you not going in? This is beyond anything you could imagine. It's the greatest gift you're going to give humanity is this wound. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, Lorie, you're 50, freaking let's get to it. And it's such a weird conscious fight. But you nailed it. It's 100% what it is. Our deepest wound is the greatest, is what is, I believe what we're here to give the world.
Yeah. Is Lorie afraid of shining too bright?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah.
And I can feel the tenderness around this wound, so I'm not gonna do any probing. I want to respect your I just want to respect you, period, around that. And but I wanted to ask you this other, the question I asked every guest here is, enheartenment is this practice of bringing every single part of ourselves back into the heart. And I wonder if there is an aspect of yourself that at the very least lately you've been consciously working on learning how to love more. That's how I relate to bringing it into the heart. It's like a part of yourself that it's been challenging, but you've been working on learning how to love more, that specific aspect of yourself.
I feel like there's a handful of them, but what's the one I'm really focused on? I think it's an overarching sense of like unworthiness, or I don't deserve to be here, or I don't deserve it's not that I don't deserve to be here, but yeah, like an unworthiness, like a voice that's just constantly like, it's not good enough. You can't do it. What are you doing? That voice. And I've had this conversation with somebody else like 6 months ago, and they're like, well, can you bring that part of you in? And I'm like, I always feel like I'm battling that part. It's like, wait, why am I not bringing? Oh, I feel like it's a battle. Like I have to go to battle with it. And then when someone says, yeah, but what if you just brought it in and embraced it? It's like a foreign concept to me because I've been in such a battle with that.
Yeah.
It flips the script if I'm like, wait a second. What if it's not a battle?
Yeah.
What if I did embrace it? It's kind of like that feeling when you said, what if I never did my work again? It's that same kind of feeling of like surrender.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's powerful.
How ferocious is your natural kind of baseline energetically? Because I feel like there's a part of you that is constantly battle ready. And then there's a part of you that's also what I love so much about what you are. And again, when I say a part of you that's battle ready, I'm not talking about, I don't sense any spikiness or spite in your energy at all. I'm not talking about somebody being like difficult or about to make life hard for everybody. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Just like anything that is potentially challenging your ability to honor your light.
Oh, yeah.
I can feel that there is just a lion just like behind you right now, guarding it. Anyways, I just want to honor that, and also honor the 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 refreshing level of transparency you bring to the way you speak and the way you share, the way you bring your work out there, your voice out there. And that's one thing that I've always found extremely relatable about the way you show up. It's like it's really creating a bridge between human self and higher self type thing. And I see you embodying that really greatly. And I honor the critic within you, and also I don't give a shit what that critic says. I have my own sense of what I see, and honestly, hats off. Yeah. And how can people get into your world, Lorie?
I appreciate everything you just said. Yeah, I am a firecracker when it comes to like, oh no, don't you dare take that from me. They can find me at lorieladd.com or on my Instagram. I think it's Lorie underscore Ladd. Yeah, my YouTube, Lorie Ladd.
Yeah.
Join us.
Yeah, I love
Join
that.
us.
I think you have your community, the School of Remembrance.
The School of Remembrance it's an online community that I do 5 live events a month. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of support. And yeah, that's really where I'm 100% transparent in that community. It's so nice to have. Do you have an online community?
I do.
Yeah. I don't know how you feel with yours, but I just come on and I'm like,
I swear a lot.
Yeah.
I just like lay down the way it is.
It's so great. I love if I didn't have my online community, I would be like, I just feel so like reciprocal in terms of support for me. Like it's not like I'm asking them for support, but just showing up each week, it's just so nice to know there's a community. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's been so great speaking with you.
I mean, it's been awesome. I've been loving every minute
of
it. And I just love I feel like there's a grounded light to it. Which is not disconnected from the ground, not disconnected from the humanness. And I have a friend who is releasing a book, and she called her book Anchoring the Light, and I can really see you as an anchor of light. That's the way I'm perceiving you. Anyways, I just wanted again to express my ultimate gratitude. Everybody, check Lorie's work. Check the Divine Design. I'm inviting you to check that out again. It's been an ultimate pleasure, Lorie. And
it's been great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and good luck with the book release.
Thank you so much.
I would love to promote it when it's released. So let me know.
I'll let you know. It's happening in September. It's in a couple months.
Congratulations, man! Writing a book is a whole different game. So
it kicked my ass for an entire year and a half. Yeah, it did.
Well, thank you.